Welcome to another of the Fin Talks series of podcasts by FinanceMalta. I'm Vanessa McDonald and I'm speaking today to Jurgen Kreuz, who is an IT security and governance expert with a company called Security as a Service. And guess what we're going to be talking about? You got it, security. It's a very important topic. It seems to be that everyone I talk to brings in the risks that come with innovation, digitalization, etc.
Absolutely.
What is your take on all of this?
Yeah, we are a security company and we are mainly supporting critical infrastructure companies in healthcare, banking and others. I always used to say also German football, which is for us Germans a very, very
Yes.
critical infrastructure as well. But so what we do is we first of all support these clients to be secure, but also to be compliant with certain standards that are implemented in the European Union at all. And so we see our sector is growing because there is more threats from all sides of the world. The technology is driving the security sector crazy. First of all, because the attack side is using technology as artificial intelligence and others. And on the other side, in the defense, we also make use of these technologies. But it's an unfair advantage kind of that there's always developing new attack vectors and new attack situations or
That's what I was going to ask you, because you know, as soon as you've put up a ring fence, then somebody's going to try and jump over it. So how on earth do you keep ahead?
Yeah, it's a
Constant
contest.
headache.
It's a contest all the time.
Yes.
So, and to be honest, the money the attackers make out of it, they have an advantage in comparison to the companies, because they earn so much money with these attacks that they always can invest into new technology, and the new technology opens them the doors to attack another victim and get information out of their infrastructure, out of their information systems, and so on. And
I think that's one of the problems, isn't it? We still think of cybersecurity as being a guy sitting down in his bedroom, you know, with a hoodie on and surrounded by screens, where in fact it's big business now, especially ransomware apparently.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of those. Ransomware is one of these, and there's still these guys sitting at home. I mean, our industry is 80-90% homework, because the people they are different. Let's say it this way: they like to work in the nights. They have different times they do their work, but at all. Yeah, you mentioned ransomware. It's something that is an attack vector we call. Sorry to cut that because I don't get the right word in English. It's by chance. So ransomware is an attack vector that you can call. It's an attack by chance, because if the ransomware is exploited in your infrastructure, that's the moment where the attackers go in and take over your accounts. And especially this attack vector is something we need the awareness of the people, right? Because if you open an email, if you go to a certain page and you download this software or this malware, then the door is open.
In fact, that's one of the things I was going to ask you. You can be so technically prepared, and it's still down to human error sometimes.
Absolutely. So we say there are three, so we call it in the cybersecurity, we call it a triangle we're using. There is one part, it's the technology. So there's so much technology available all over, and you can implement that. But as long as you don't train your people and don't ensure that these people have awareness of what's going to happen, there's no chance. And the third thing that is also and the same important as the two others is processes. So how do you ensure within your company, within your infrastructure, that the processes are proper, that information is safeguarded, that you have fences within your environment internally to ensure that an attacker, even if he comes in, is not going to access all your information and all your data. And that is, we call it needs to be balanced between these three pillars.
When you're talking about technology, we very often forget that when things do go wrong, who can you turn to? There's no global police, if you like. So what is the role of regulation, legislation and so on
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, there is police enforcement always in the countries.
In fact, now there are economic crimes and cyber
right,
crime
right.
units.
I mean, to say it this way, crime doesn't have borders. And borders is a restriction that we as companies, or a disadvantage that we experience as companies. Because if we want to counterattack or something, we always are limited with the borders that we have by countries, because we need to, first of all, talk to the local police. Mm-hmm. And very often that we experience, the local police is not really capable of answering those requests or attacks. So in Europe, we also have Europol, which has some cyber defense unit or cyber units you can go to, but let's keep it this way, they are very, very flooded by requests. At all, there is an initiative at the moment, or longer going on in Europe, and there are cybersecurity competence centers on the European level and on the national level. And due to the legislation and regulation that was implemented, these institutions are asked to support local businesses and then directly open up kind of on a European level to answer and counterattack these things. Right?
How interesting.
And,
yeah.
So there's a lot of initiatives, but to be honest, it's difficult as somebody who's not in the industry of cybersecurity to know where do I need to go. And this is something we do when we talk to our clients. One of the most important things is, first of all, you need to install something like a framework internally where you make sure if something has happened, what are the run books we go after or we follow to ensure, okay, we can secure our company, we have direct access to authorities, to police or any others. So that is something you need to think of in the beginning.
We've talked about cybersecurity, but one of the problems of the future is going to be quantum computing, which is so much faster. How can you... We don't even know where to start with that, do we?
I mean, to understand quantum computing, and I'm definitely not an expert on that, but it's something you need to understand that quantum computing is working with different realities. So it can either be this way or either be that way, and it calculates both opportunities. And that is, in the first hand, it can handle much more complex tasks and in a much quicker way than we can even think about. So if that technology is available for attackers or whatever, that would be a threat, especially if we talk about encryption, right? So today we have encryption levels that take hundreds of years to be decrypted, but if quantum computing is accessible, that will be in seconds.
Oh gosh.
And we experience at the moment that many attacks are taking information out of their victims, and they can't decrypt them at the moment, but they store them until the technology is available. And that is something very threatening, because we can't currently imagine that we may have an attack now and the information is encrypted, but in 2 years' time, where this technology may be available, the attackers can make use of these data. So, and that is something, we already need to think about. And
let's take a step back from the doomsday scenario, which I hope will never happen. Talk to me about artificial intelligence, because so many interviews I ask the same question: is it a force for good or is it a force for evil? How do you see AI, especially in finance?
So let's keep it that way. I wouldn't say it's for evil at all.
Good.
The question is, how do we face this topic? I recently had the keynote upstairs where I was saying, okay, the technology is there, but the most important thing is we need to think of ethics. Because what's going on today is that technology will always be used for the good and for the bad. The question is always, so what do we do and how do we make regulation and everything in this area? AI is something that will definitely change the world in a manner we never experienced before. So all the industrial revolutions, everything we've seen in the past, will be outtaken by this revolution we're currently in. And we're in the middle of it. We already experience. So just to give an example, like my daily work, I 10 times the output just by using AI than before. And there is a chance to do even more out of it, because this technology is capable of something we never experienced before. And I would say the most important thing is we need to think about that in the future the technology will be there in everything. We already have that. If we look at our phones, nearly 80 to 90% of all the applications we're using is using AI. And so we need to turn our head around and check, okay, what do we do? How do we cope with this? And how do we face artificial intelligence? Attackers already make use of it. And even so we do in the defense. We use artificial intelligence to defend our clients within the technology built-in, and also like there is so much data produced that a human can't process this information. So we need to have technology that can process this information in real time, in short time, and in a big amount. So I would say artificial intelligence, if we use it right, will be an advantage, will be an enabler for everybody, for the companies, for the businesses, and so on. And I would even go further saying, if a company today is not following a strategy on artificial intelligence, they won't have a seat at the table in 5 years' time.
What is so interesting is that over the last few years, we've actually seen now legislation and regulation catching up.
Right.
Because before it was, everyone can do what they want and so on. Now we've got things which are looking at, you've got the AI Act, you've got data protection and so on. And that means, it's a good thing, no? I think. But it does mean an awful lot of compliance for companies.
So as I'm working in the field of IT compliance
yes.
and IT governance, I must say, first of all, it's good that we build these regulations because it helps the companies to understand what is the garden we are working with.
But they all hate it.
Definitely they do, because the thing is...
It takes up so much time, it costs so much.
Absolutely. I just heard from the guy from the European Investment Fund who was on the panel with me. He mentioned 80% of the investments currently are in compliance. And if I hear that, even so that we work in this area, I feel like, oh my God, that's bad.
A lot.
Because let's keep it that way. In the healthcare, we would say this sounds like a cancer because there's more money spent to something that we need to do internally and for reporting than really investing into the future of the core business we are following. And so, for example, my personal idea and the idea we're following in my company is we need to take off this effort that is needed for complying with certain regulations and put that into technology, because these are repetitive tasks mainly, because we need to control certain things, we need to control locks, we need to look at different stuff, and this could be done by technology. So we should take this off the shoulders of the companies and put that into technology that is taking care of these compliance tasks without taking the focus off the core business that the companies are following. So I would say it's good that security and everything is demanded by these regulations, but we need to make sure that this is not expanding the effort the companies do, because this is, as said, kind of a cancer. Yeah.
Jurgen, I hope that your message gets to the people out there. What can I say? Thank you so much for sharing all your insight with us. It's been absolutely fascinating.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure being here, and thanks for the invite.